Okay. All right. We're going to go to finance. I chaired that, so Terrell, will you jump over here so you can look up my script, kind of? There's not a lot of action, and so I'll present to the board, and then you can act on it. We met in finance. Joe Wright was excused. All the other members were present. We had the approval of minutes. We recognized. We had recognition of progress and achievements and improvements. Deputy Superintendent Jones recognized the financial operations staff on closing fiscal year 17 1 month earlier. This is all stuff that you've heard today. He also recognized the interim IT director, Jared Felt, who's on loan to us. We appreciate all of their activities and his activities and his help. The IT staff have been focused on 4 core areas, including security, organizational structure, the website, and system analysis. Conversation of the website is anticipated by conversion of the website is anticipated by November, and we'll get a demonstration to the board when that's completed. Under 1.3, we talked about an analysis of the special education contracted monitoring expenditures. This is an effort that board member Hansen brought up a little over a year ago. We were outsourcing a lot of dollars to contractors, and the contract seemed to be really huge on paper, but we weren't spending all of it. That was presented to the finance committee. We reviewed the spreadsheets. Some of the contracts are for compliance monitoring, while others are for specialized skills. 4 of the larger program monitoring contracts were provided to the committee for review. Contracts were entered into in 2014 for the maximum dollar amount that a contractor could work during a 5-year contract term. So when you see those contract numbers, it's not annual, it's for a 5-year term. Special education has control over the contractors as they assign them and the hours that they work. Reviewed the total amount of expenditures for the year. There were no requirements for special education. There are no requirements for special education to continue using contractors, but yet we need them to be able to demonstrate compliance and assist our LEAs. I'm not getting clear. I don't want to get clear down into the weeds on this. We're continuing to have monitoring compliance activities do not halt when staff leave. We just are experiencing this. Reductions in staff levels have happened. These contracts are critical in keeping the compliance requirements going as the section hires new staff. The committee action, not to the board, a motion was made by Board Member Huntsman to direct staff to consider the committee discussion on the budget and report to the committee with a strategy for the betterment of special education monitoring activities for LEAs and students over the next 2 years. Options could include the possibility of increasing USBE FTEs and or continuing to contract program monitoring services. This is all as a result of all this work. So there's nothing before the board today. It's just a report. And it took quite a bit of time, but it was well worth it. 1.4, R277-422 state supported voted local leeway board, local levy and reading improvement program. Staff reviewed changes made to R277-422 and the K-3 reading funding match with committees. Staff reported that 73% of the 3rd grade students recently tested proficient on DIBELS reading. When K-3 funds were implemented, proficiency levels increased as the number of students have increased and the funding remained stagnant. Proficiency levels have declined. one of the CBA proposals would instruct staff to conduct a study of the $15 million K-3 funding to determine if restricting those funds is the best way to improve reading proficiency. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to continue R277-422 on first reading. The motion to the board is there you go.
Okay. The motion is that we move the R277-422 on second and final reading.
Any discussion?
Could
Any
I just get a
discussion?
clarification of the motion? I noticed it says that changes were made to the rule, but then it was only passed for continuation, not amendment. So is that correct? It indicates that staff reviewed changes made to R277-422.
So the amendment needs to, okay, so
As amended?
as amended. Okay, so the committee moved that the board, so the motion is that we continue with amendments R277-422 on second and final reading. Any discussion? Or wait, I guess we need a second on that.
No, well, no, we don't.
No,
It came out of the
It came out
committee.
of, okay, so is there any discussion on that? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay.
Okay. R277-419, pupil accounting amendment. The Law and License Committee previously heard R277-419, and a request was made to organize a rule to make it clear on how LEAs seek waivers for snow days. Staff approved a handout with an option A and an option B for committee members to consider. The rule was brought to the Finance Committee because of potential financial implications in option A. Option B provides clarification of the snow days and waivers. The difference in the options are reflected in lines 210 through 215 in both drafts, and that was all in your packet there. The board considered allowing the superintendent to grant waivers for snow days as an alternative to having it come to the full board. The only time the LEAs has to request a waiver is when it has not met the 180-day requirement. Under this rule, LEAs are required to build snow days into their calendar. Some schools may experience more snow days than they built into their calendar, which would require a waiver request. The committee heard public comment. The committee action is this. A motion was made by Board Member Cummins to add language to the rule to allow the superintendent to grant waivers for snow days if an LEA shows compliance with all other portions of the rule. The motion carried. Staff reviewed the potential benefits and potential negative impacts of adopting option A. The earliest option A could be implemented is the 18-19 school year, and possibly later as systems would need to be adapted and amended. The committee action was this. The Finance Committee voted unanimously to approve R277-419 option B as amended on first reading.
So the motion is that we approve R277-419 option B as amended, revision 1 on second reading. Any discussion?
Yeah, question.
Yes.
This came from Law and Licensing. I don't know if you guys are aware that this is 419, the snow waiver, and the 990, 180 day. So my question is, so you guys decide just to take option A off the table, or is it something they're looking at for at another time, or so is it just, we're just done with it?
Okay, we'll go to Board Member Cummins for a response of that.
Based on the feedback from staff, there's a lot of things that are currently in the making, such as the competency-based education and other things that would affect pupil accounting. So it wasn't, let's forget about it forever, but let's do this in a very comprehensive way. And so for now, let's change the portions that that address the snow days problem and how to apply for a waiver, et cetera, and clarify the confusion that kind of we went through this last winter, but then allow for the continuation of research to inform the other people counting and the calculations that go along with that.
Thank you. Board Member Ellis?
So option A basically was a motion that I made in law and licensing to look at changing the language to match statute. Statute says that the State Board of Ed shall establish minimum school hours or days. It doesn't say both, and it doesn't set the time or the day. And we changed it to and at some point in history. And so option A was looking at and getting feedback and putting it out for a 30-day public comment period, which I don't think happened because Angie, sorry, I don't think that was able to happen because it needed to be looked at. Anyway, so if that wasn't met, I'm wondering if we really can vote on this now without that provision of the Law and Licensing Committee being met, that it was out for a public comment period for 30 days to look at the option of or.
Yes.
No, I apologize, and I probably need to go look at the minutes last month to find out if it was a committee motion that was approved by the board, where if I do remember the committee made a motion for staff to make the change and that for it to be posted for 30 days. What I don't remember is if that was something that was approved by the board and would therefore kind of supersede all of this. I will just give you the history.
Well, it
that-
wasn't allowed to be talked about. I mean, that was
Is that
kind
what
of,
happened?
it was kind of suppressed here. So.
My understanding also was that finance would look at it as far as monetary, what that would mean, because there were other things that we needed to take under consideration, not that they would adopt a version of the rule. At least that was my understanding of what
It
occurred.
just seems not like a very good process to do that and not let it go through the original motion from the other committee.
Okay, yes.
Can I, if I may, just clarify something? Option B kind of was what was drafted originally last month, which really dealt only with the snow days issue and clarifying when you seek waivers or how to seek waivers. And it didn't get into the second issue of whether or not it should be 990 or 180 or and. One option I think you have, notwithstanding the motion, you could actually do both things. You could adopt option B right now, so that takes effect as soon as possible, so that let's say in November or December, we start to have these snow days, that those schools who they're probably more likely to exceed those snow days more like in February or March. But to make it clear that for that first snow day, they actually can get that approval for one time directly from the superintendent without coming to the board. It doesn't mean you couldn't continue to consider option A, and it is posted now. You could have a 30-day comment period. People could look at it, and it could be brought back to law and licensing in October. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you could still do both. You could have option B go forward, and then next month, all we would be bringing back were those changes to those 5 lines where it's changing and to or, and then there's some other language that we added.
Okay, thank you. First, Board Member Ellis, and then we'll go to Board Member Hanson.
Thank you for that clarity, because I just, when we say we're just going to look at it later, sometimes things fall through. And so I kind of wanted a little more teeth in there, that this is something we're going to actually look at, study, and see what the implications would be. Anyways, and so I appreciate that. And I guess that would take an amendment to the motion, or can we
Let me-
approve the motion and then, I'm not making anything right now, but approve the motion and then make another one to do that? What would be the appropriate place to?
I think that would be.
Can I make a comment? The reason why it went to finance is because we are not, in law and licensing, we do not have the expertise to handle this rule, because there are so many financial implications. And that's why it went to finance. And and it is really finance's rule. That's the one rule that has all the financial stuff in it. So I feel like that was Mark's call, and I feel like that rule is not a rule that should ever be coming to us. It's something that finance should always take care of because it's the rule that has their expertise in it, in my view.
Okay, thank you. Chair Huntsman?
If I might be able to speak to this, my understanding was that, and I appreciate all the work that was done in law and licensing, but the big question was to come to us is to weigh out the financial side and what it means, especially the 180 days and how things are locked into a day. And we spent quite a bit of time on this. Was it yesterday? Thanks. Trying to remember what day it is.
Different life.
And so from your finance committee, weighed all this out. We also took into strong consideration of where we go from now and managing expectation or helping to manage expectations of school districts. And we thought it was in the best interest of students, of our accounting processes, and of the board to go with option B that says leaves the language with the current language requires LEH to provide the 990 instructional hours over a minimum of 180 days. So it stays in there, but all that other good stuff that happened on snow days and how all that works is still in there. We made all of our decision strictly based on the financial implication side and challenges that it's going to create with negative impacts to education, not positive. And so that's why we moved this, spent the time on it and moved it to this point. So this school year, we're ready if we have another winter or the whole snow day thing hits again. So that's what we did last night.
Thank you. Board Member Lear?
And I just wanted to clarify something that a comment that was made that there is in state law the hours and minutes requirement, or hours and days. It is not in state law. I'm looking at 53A-1-402. It's in the rule. It's in. Can you point me to the statute? Because I'm looking. It
How
says,
about
well, set minimum
Deputy Superintendent
standards.
Stallings?
Yes, I can actually read you the language. It's in section 53A, 17A, 103, subsection 7. It's within the definition of the minimum school program or state-supported
Okay.
minimum school program. And this is what the language states. It states, the board shall establish the number of days or equivalent instructional hours that school is held for an academic school year. And what we discussed a month ago in law and licensing was whether or not we or you as the board with that language have the authority to do and. My legal opinion is that even though it says or, it actually means or and. So you could do both. And so, and I stated that a month ago, I still stand by that. I have a lot of experience with statutory construction, and I know that when the legislature states that you have the authority to do A, B, C, or D, you could actually do B and C, you could do A and D, or you can do any of them.
Okay.
So, and so I would state that you actually have the authority to do and, you have the authority to do or if you'd like. Our board rule states and. I don't think there's any legal requirement that you have to make it an or. I think that's a policy choice, which you absolutely could make.
Great, really helpful. Thank
Okay.
you.
Board Member Ellis?
Yes, and I want to clarify that I wasn't insinuating that we were doing something incorrect. I understand that, and I would like us to explore that option. So I would like to, I just no one really answered my question if it's appropriate to amend the motion or just create a second motion, because I don't want to not do it and then not have the opportunity. That's not what I want. Okay, so I'm gonna amend the motion. I'm gonna amend my emotions. And anyway, so I'd like to amend the motion to approve option B while still exploring, taking some time to study and explore what it would look like financially and in every way to free up and change, in my opinion, it's freeing up and changing that from an and to an or.
On option A.
On option A, but with accepting and approving option B for this, for now.
Okay, is there a second to that motion? Okay, there's a second. Any discussion?
Yes, I was trying to follow this. So your amendment is to
Except B, but look at A.
But also look at study.
continue to look at A. Okay, I'm good.
Okay,
About, yeah, which is included in the,
yes.
One thing that I think might be helpful is whether that option A, when we're exploring it and bringing it back, is whether that's going to go to finance or law and licensing. And I guess that right now would be up to the chair, but I just wanted to make sure that if there were any feelings about that.
Okay, so all in favor of amending, oh,
oh,
Board Member Cannon.
Yeah, I just have some input. So I was on the board back in the mid-90s when they changed the or to and because it had affected student achievement so negatively. It had even caused increase in teen crime rates in areas where they had gone to 4-day school weeks. So maybe my request would be, could staff go back and find that history and present to us the reasoning that the state superintendent came to the board and said, please, please put this as an and not an or. That's just a request as we're studying this.
That's great. You're making a note of that? Okay, Superintendent Dixon. Okay, so all in favor of amending any other discussion? All in favor of amending the motion?
aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. So the main motion, or we've approved that motion, right? The amendment. So now the motion is that that we, the board, approve R277-419, option B, revision 1 on second and final reading, and while continuing to explore option A. Any discussion to that? Oh, I need a second. Second? Yes?
Sorry, I need clarification again. Okay, I just need clarification. It says second reading, you said second and final, so,
Well, I threw that in. Because I think is that what that word says? Second reading, what's that?
No. this-
Oh,
this is
sorry,
nothing.
second reading. Sorry, I couldn't.
So they'll do a third reading on
So
consent.
on second reading. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
Okay.
that motion carries.
All right. Thank you, Vice Chair.
Thank you.
Hey, well, you're not done.
Oh, I'm not done.
No.
Sorry, we're not done.
We've only just begun.
Oh, great.
I
heard that song on the way this morning.
Okay, section budget reviews. We reviewed the indirect cost pool. The staff reviewed the committee, the indirect cost pool budgeting and coding that makes up the various budget categories. The indirect cost pool is comprised of individuals that provide service to the entire agency. All programs pay the cost for these individuals. The rate charged for staff in the indirect cost pool is established through negotiations with the U.S. Department of Education each year and is aimed to ensure that federal programs are not charged more than what it costs to administer the federal program. Staff reported that the clearing account line item was pulled from the board's budget and put into the indirect cost pool for more transparency. The clearing account includes costs of travel, motor pool, etc., that are later moved into the appropriate section. The committee action, the committee directed staff to continue to provide slide presentations for the various section budget reviews as backup to the Finance Committee agenda. Slide presentations will not be part of the section budget review unless specifically requested. Now, this is all for your behalf who are not on the Finance Committee, that as we have section reviews that you can see in like a PowerPoint format, who, what, org structure, what they do. So it's a really strong information piece for your review, but not to consume committee time. Okay. This next one, 1.7, charter school revolving loan. Capstone Classical Academy applied for a $300,000 revolving loan to assist with startup costs. Staff reviewed the details of the charter and the amortization schedule for loan repayment. Staff explained that the revolving loan program is potentially more risky than the school building loan program because there have been defaults on the revolving loan program. And typically the loans fund startup, the loans fund startup charters so that they do not have established credits. Statute directs the priority of how revolving loans funds are spent. So we had quite a bit of discussion there. Motion for the board is that the Finance Committee moves that the board approve Capstone Classical Academy's loan application for $300,000.
Okay, so the motion is that the board approves the Capstone Classical Academy loan application for $300,000. Is there a second?
No, we don't have to second.
Oh, no, we don't have to second. Oh, that's right.
Any
All in
discussion?
favor?
Any discussion?
Any discussion? Sorry, I'm not winning brownie points right now. Is there any discussion to that?
No.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Okay, this was another action here. 1.8, School Building Revolving Loan Fund, request to change terms of promissory note and loan. South San Pete and Duchesne School Districts were both approved for school building revolving loans in August 2017 board meeting. After reviewing the loan documents, both districts have requested change. South San Pete School District is requesting the board reconsider the terms of the loan, and Duchesne School District is requesting changes in the promissory note. Staff reviewed previous school building revolving loan approvals with the committee that show no standard procedure established when determining the interest rate charged for the loans. There is no consistency in simple versus compound interest rate applications. In the record, there is no explanation of why the rates were selected. So we have a rate setting challenge here. The School Building Revolving Loan Fund has had no default payments or deferral requests in the history of the program. Historically, the USBE has postponed issuing additional loans against the funds until the entire loan balance was paid in full. The School Building Revolving Loan Program is large enough that the board could make funds available more frequently as funds become available. Staff explained that the profiles in the intent of the Charter School Revolving Loan Fund and the School Building Revolving Loan Fund are different. The funds are separate and they should be treated separately. Okay, here's the committee action. A motion was made by Board Chair Huntsman to direct staff to create a clear standard for establishing the rate and terms for the School Building Revolving Loan Fund. Staff were also directed to work with the legislature to determine the intent of the loan program and to see if the USBE should be increasing the dollar value to account for future value. All information will be reported back to the Finance Committee. The motion carried. The committee, okay, that's not before the board. That was just strictly in our committee. Committee action, additional committee action. The committee directed staff, okay, and this is what you guys will respond to. The committee directed staff to have the promissory note changes submitted by Duchesne School District reviewed by legal staff and to create a consistent promissory note for all school building loan funds. Motion to the board. The Finance Committee moves that the board approve the South San Pete School District School Building Revolving Loan Fund request at 1% simple interest rate and to mirror that rate for Duchesne School District.
Okay, so the motion is that the board approve the South San Pete School District School Building Revolving Loan Fund request at 1% simple interest rate and to mirror the rate for Duchesne School District. Any discussion to that motion? Yes. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Board Member Belknap, did you have a question? Or, yes?
Chair Huntsman, was there any discussion on getting this, making this standardized somewhere?
Yeah, that's our, yeah.
Thank you.
That's what our previous action was to, let's get this figured out.
Just talk about it and get it done.
and-
Okay.
And get it out early, so we can manage everyone's expectations in the future before they make the request. Thank you. Okay. 1.9 Regional Service Center Annual Report, and/or request in accordance with R277706. Representatives from each of our 4 regional service centers presented copies of their annual reports to the committee outlining how they function and operate and how their budgets are spent. The 4 regional service centers include the Central Utah Education Services, Northeastern Utah Education Services, Southeastern Education Service Center, and Southwest Educational Development Center. Committee action, the Finance Committee received the reports. 1.10 is a review and approval of fiscal year 19 rate agreement with DFCM. Deputy Superintendent Scott reviewed with the committee the rate agreement with the DFCM. Deputy Superintendent Jones also received a copy of the draft improvement list that will be submitted into the building board for consideration. Items on the capital improvement list that were approved for completion at the Board of Education this fiscal year, including replacement of the exterior handrails and railing, replacement of the south sidewalk, replacement of the cement bridge outside the west door, replacement of the cement on the south entrance plaza. Capital improvements projects are separate from the O&M agreement. Info request. Committee members would like to know where the USBE building is where it is on a replacement schedule. We're curious to see how they're ranking and rating this. The committee action, the committee received the report. 1.11, fiscal year 17 carry forward amounts by section and program. The committee action was the Finance Committee postponed this discussion for the whole board due to time constraints. So we had that briefing earlier. 1.12, special education reports on noncompliance. Special education staff at the USBE performed a review of the Utah County Academy of Science. Special education expenditures for state fiscal year 2015 and 17 after a sample-based audit of reimbursement requests uncovered unallowable expenditures from the school. You call it UCAS, I think. UCAS was issued a findings letter which included repayment amounts for the federal IDEA grant and state special education restricted funds. UCAS appealed a portion of the findings from the first year and provided additional documentation for the consideration. USBE staff heard the appeal, reviewed the documentation, and reduced the findings by $16,000 in federal funds. UCAS has now accepted the appeal decision by the USBA and has agreed to repay $18,069.75 in state special education restricted funds and $47,629.51 in federal funds. USBE staff received a corrective action from UCAS this morning. The committee action. This one's, the Finance Committee received the report. Somebody has a question.
Yes. Board Member Belknap?
When we send out documents, could we send out the correct Utah State Board of Education? This is Dave Crandall as the chair. In the letter we sent to this on August 11th.
Good find.
We will work on that.
Okay. Continue.
Okay, continue.
Okay. 1.13 estimate on end-to-end accounting system committee action. The Finance Committee proposed this discussion because that was presented today by Superintendent Scott Jones. 1.14, corrective action on internal, external audit. Staff from USDB were invited to present to the Finance Committee any new procedure implemented based on the recommendation from the corrective action plan to report number MOA 16-0A4 from the Office of the State Auditor. There was 3 findings: inadequate oversight purchase card program. Second finding, inadequate internal control over use of purchase card. The third finding was improper recording of employee gifts. They briefed us, and we received that report, that pretty much ensuring that this problem isn't existing today. That's a Reader's Digest version. Okay, 1.15, request for data, none, and we reviewed the consent calendar. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thank you.